everybody, welcome to my channel. And for the returning viewers, welcome back. Today's topic is a little bit of a touchy one because some people don't like talking about it, but I think that it's something that we should talk about. And on my channel, I want it to be a safe space for everyone, especially myself, that I can talk about whatever it is that I'd like. So today I want to talk to you guys about mental health, more so regarding postpartum mental health. Now, to touch base on mental health, and what I am referring to is anxiety, depression, stress, anything that you can think of that has to do with your mental well-being. I've dealt with stress, anxiety, as much as anybody who's watching this, but I've had anxiety attacks, panic attacks, to the point where I have passed out multiple times, had to be rushed to the hospital because I didn't know how to explain it, and the doctors really didn't know what was going on with me. So anytime I had one, I would go to the hospital. Now, being emotionally aware and mentally aware of what is going on, I could have saved myself thousands of dollars in medical bills, but that's besides the point. Now, we as women, females in general, get a bad rap for being hormonal, emotional. I can't stand that. When people label that and use it as an excuse to just push aside what we're feeling, what we're going through, that's a cop-out. Now, am I saying hormones and emotions don't play a part in mental health? Absolutely not, because there is hormone imbalance and, the hormones drive emotions. Now, I am not a science major in any way, shape, or form, but I do know that after you have a child, during pregnancy, your hormones are all over the place, and then afterwards it's trying to balance back out. Sometimes they don't always balance properly and you're left with deficits, deficiencies. So what I'm talking about today builds on top of my mental health history. It hasn't been easy. I really haven't talked to anybody about this. And the people that I do talk to about, or have talked to about it, some, in the family have said that you never want to use the word depressed. And some, mentors, coaches, family, friends have also said the same thing. Oh, you're not depressed, you're just in a funk, or, depressed is just a strong word. Well, it is a strong word. I am not negating that fact. But it made me feel like I couldn't say how I was feeling, because if I did, I'd be labeled a certain way. I'd be looked at as fragile, or unable to live in the world, or be highly medicated, which doctors have tried to do. And personally for me, it's only made it worse. Now, I'm not saying medication doesn't work in certain cases, but for me it hasn't, because I guess I haven't really been able to express what I've been feeling or find the right doctor. Dealing with depression and anxiety my entire life has made my life a little bit more difficult. When you're a teenager and you're going through, life stages, not knowing what it is you're feeling, and always having these just drive of impending doom, this weight, these just complete sadness and anxiety and agitation and just everything that you could possibly think of driving through your body all at once, causing you to have an overload any given moment. And then you add a baby into the mix. Now, let me back up a little bit and say, one of my last episodes of me passing out, and going to the hospital was about when I was 17. I haven't had an anxiety attack to the extent that I had to go to the hospital from passing out since then. Now, I actually found out that I was pregnant because of an anxiety attack. And what I mean is that I was in rush hour traffic, 5 o'clock p.m., going down one of the busiest streets. I was having an anxiety attack to the point where I thought I was like, my body was shutting down. I was having shivers. I was crying. I had an emotional weight on my shoulders that came out of nowhere. And I felt like, you know, something terrible was going to happen in that moment if I was still on the road. I guess in that case, you know, I would have found out I was pregnant at any given point, but that anxiety attack really brought it back for me, that my emotions were just very much heightened, and it brought back all of those feelings from when I was a teenager. During my pregnancy, I was more of an agitated state than anything, and a lot of people might laugh at that and say, you know, oh, that's just being pregnant, but it was that I couldn't be around certain people because I would lose my cool, completely see red, go off on them, or I just feel like my skin was crawling. And you know, these people really didn't do anything to me to make me feel that way. I just wasn't comfortable around them normally, and so it just made that feeling more intensified. And now, postpartum is anything after having a baby. And I really did not know too much of postpartum depression. I knew that it happened to some women after having a baby, that they would get, what I would think is that they would get, you know, very sad. They would be crying or balled up or didn't want anything to do with their child. And in some cases that's the case. But, you know, postpartum depression is a very much an umbrella term to engulf different kinds of postpartum mental health issues. I was not aware up until last night that there are different categories for postpartum mental health. There is the depression, there is postpartum anxiety, postpartum distress, postpartum psychosis, and postpartum OCD, and I'm pretty sure there's so many more. But I want to go over some of these terms with you because if you're like me, you know, ignorance is bliss, and like I said, I didn't know about this, and I didn't care to know because it didn't affect me, or so I thought. So I didn't do too much research into it, but I decided to do so because I've been dealing with so many emotions that I wanted to know more about it, and I wanted to find answers. So I want to go over what the internet says about postpartum mental health. Postpartum depression is the most common complication following childbirth, characterized by frequent crying, mood swings, irritability, extreme fatigue, difficulty concentrating, sleep problems, loss of sexual interest, anxiety, appetite changes, negative scary thoughts, feeling of inadequacy, hopelessness, and despair. In addition, thoughts of suicide and feelings of anger, rage, shame, and guilt are often present. You feel guilty because you believe you should be handling new motherhood better. You worry whether your baby can tell that you feel so bad or that you are crying so much. You don't feel bonded to your baby. You're not having that mythical mommy bliss that you see on TV or read in magazines. You can't understand why this is happening. You are confused and very scared. You feel irritated or angry. You have no patience. Everything annoys you. You feel resentment towards your baby or your partner or your friends who don't have babies. You feel out of control rage. You feel nothing, emptiness, numbness, sadness in the depths of your soul. You can't stop crying. You feel hopeless. You can't bring yourself to eat. You can't sleep when the baby sleeps. You can't concentrate. Feel disconnected. You might be having thoughts of running away or leaving your family behind. You know something is wrong. You may not know you have a perinatal mood or anxiety disorder, but you know the way you're feeling is not right. You are afraid that this is your new reality and that you've lost the old you forever. You're afraid if you reach out for help, people will judge you or that your baby will be taken away. Now that is a real situation because, I mean, I've had those thoughts myself that you know, people will judge me for the way I'm feeling, that, you know, I should be a happy-go-lucky mom. And now that was postpartum depression. I'm not saying that I have every single one of those bullet points, but I do have some of those symptoms. Now, that's the only thing that I thought postpartum mental health had, postpartum depression. Postpartum depression is typically an agitated depression with symptoms of both depression and anxiety. When depressive symptoms dominate, we refer to it as postpartum depression. When anxiety is the compelling symptom, we refer to it as postpartum anxiety disorder. It opened my eyes when I found out that there is such thing called postpartum anxiety and OCD. I'm going to read to you some symptoms that comes from that, from this one, and I feel like I resonate more with postpartum anxiety with hints of depression. According to postpartumstress.com, postpartum depression and anxiety affect 1 in 7 women. That is a very low number, or high number, however you want to look at it. Low number in the sense that it affects so many people that I wasn't aware of. And, you know, going into being a mom, I should have been aware of it, but unfortunately, you know, I'm dealing with it after the fact. Maybe if I dealt with it before and I knew about it beforehand, I could have been better equipped. But then again, with these kinds of things, you never really know, because it's more of like an on-the-job training feel. Now, symptoms can range from mild to severe. Postpartum depression is not the baby blues. Baby blues is considered a normal part of postpartum adjustment. Now, postpartum psychosis, that is, from what I've read, more severe than postpartum depression, because it can bring you to the point of delusions, hallucinations, severe agitations, and just loss of reality. 1 or 2 out of 1,000 postpartum women do struggle with, and that is, you know, thinking of how many people are born in the world, that's a high number as well. So what I personally believe that I am dealing with is postpartum anxiety disorder. Now, according to parents.com, it says that moms who have had a history of anxiety or certain symptoms of PMS, family history of it, can be susceptible to postpartum anxiety disorder. And as I've said, you know, I've dealt with anxiety attacks and anxiety disorders in my past, so knowing this, it would have been great to know that I was susceptible to getting this, so I could have, you know, done more research about this or spoken to a specialist maybe to try to get this under wraps before it got started. Some of the symptoms for postpartum anxiety include increased heart rate, sore stomach, tight chest and throat, shallow breathing, loss of appetite, difficulty falling or staying asleep. Now, a lot of people write off those symptoms, if you're a mom, to being a mom, that you're forgetful, that, you know, you're tired, or you don't have energy because of the baby, and some of that is true, but in my case, I have to deal with the fact that I am dealing with a mental health issue after having a child. And currently, that's my struggle, is that I struggle to get out of bed. You know, some days I don't get out of bed until 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I have to just drag Josiah into bed with me, you know, while he's nursing the entire time, and we're just sleeping there. I don't have energy. And it's not just because I'm not getting that great of sleep throughout the night. I don't have energy at all throughout the day. It's not even that feeling of just being tired. It's just I feel no drive, no purpose. And that's not to say that, you know, my son's not my purpose in life, but you also have to have a self-driven purpose, an individual purpose. And that's something I feel like I have lost. I haven't really had that self-driven purpose, which is really not giving me an energy, and I know that it is very much noticeable from the outside looking in at me. There are days, like I said, that I don't get out of bed, you know. There are days that I just lay on the couch and I just feel like, you know, I'm hopeless, I'm helpless, I'm worthless, and I don't add value to my family. to the community, and I have tried to grasp at strands here and there, and maybe that's what this YouTube channel is for, is to make me feel like I have a purpose, that I can help somebody. You know, these 35 subscribers that I have, I'm really grateful because you guys validate me in that sense, and we as people, as you know, human beings want to be validated. We have a need to be validated, and it really helps me a lot when I see that people are actually watching this and people are actually commenting, responding, and you know, saying that they can relate in any way, shape, or form. It makes me feel less alone. And granted, I know I am not alone. I have a tribe behind me of wonderful mothers who support me and, you know, are there for me. But again, back to having this disorder, this issue, I have to get comfortable with saying that unless I can find a better way or a better thing to say it. But it makes you feel isolated. It makes you feel like nobody can really understand you, that if you do tell somebody, you will be judged, or that you will be looked upon as being less than, or you know, an unfit mom. And that's not something that I'm willing to do, is to put my position as a mother in jeopardy or, you know, in question. I can't say that I've ever had any thoughts of hurting Josiah in any way, shape, or form, but I've had thoughts of, you know, him being better off without me, him, you know, deserving so much more, that I am not a mom who he is deserving of. And that's really hard to have to talk about, and you know, out loud at least, because I want to be super mom. I want to be, you know, the best mom. I want to be Pinterest mom, things that I strive for. But at the same time, I also want to be a sane mom. I want to have my mental sanity, my mental health in check. So I feel bad when I don't feel like I'm contributing because I am a stay-at-home mom. A lot of people write it off like, oh, what do you do all day? Well, I struggle with my mental health all day. You know, the days that I do work out, the days that I do put on makeup, those are good days. Or the really bad days that I just need that boost of some kind of validation, either from myself or from others, to, you know, make me feel better, make me feel a little bit more alive, have a little bit more energy, I guess. Now with doing makeup, you know, I get crap about how do you have time to do makeup but you don't have time to do A, B, C, you know, or you have the energy to do makeup but you don't have whatever have you. I've always said, if you look better, you feel better. When you look good, you feel good. And that's been my own personal motto, mantra, you know, and that may be very much shallow in some people's eyes, but when it comes to me, I feel like if it can cover up my dark circles that remind me that, you know, I don't have energy, that I haven't gotten a good night's sleep, that I am, you know, a zombie feeling, if it can cover up, you know, the pimples from the stress, it kind of boosts my ego. It kind of gives me enough energy to actually go out in the world, face everybody, and again, that may be shallow to some, but it brings me joy, and that's something that I hold on to for myself. So before you go and judge, you know, the person that you see on those little boxes on your phones, just try to remember that mental health is something that we all have to deal with, whether you have great mental health or you are holding on by a thread. You'll never get anywhere or increase your value by diminishing somebody else's. One thing I want everybody to know is that it's okay not to be okay. And that's something that I have to keep reminding myself. You know, my vulnerability here invites your vulnerability, hopefully. I want to make it a safe space for you to come and talk, Or for you to feel like, okay, well, somebody's sharing their story, maybe I should share mine. You feel like you want to reach out to somebody because you're struggling, then do it. It's okay not to be okay. It doesn't make you any less of a person. It doesn't make you, you know, weak at all. It actually makes you very strong. That's what I have to tell myself right now, because anybody can just put on a fake smile, a fake persona, and make it seem like everything's okay. It takes a real person to talk about this struggle. I would, to this point, say that I haven't opened up to anybody about it. It's taken me a while to even talk to my husband, my partner, about it, about, you know, what I'm feeling. He's seeing the symptoms, but he doesn't really understand. And with this video, I'm hoping that I can try to convey that, you know, not only to him, but to everybody else who may have come in contact with me, or who may want to know what's going on in my life, or what it is that I'm dealing with, because some of these symptoms ultimately affect people in my life as well. This has not been an easy video to film, but I feel like it's going to be one of my most important videos that I do film, because it's an important thing to talk about mental health. And I want to talk to others, you know, about their mental health and their experiences with postpartum depression, anxiety, and everything else that comes with postpartum mental health. Or even some that haven't, you know, had a child but still are dealing with something. I want to make this into a collective space that can reach an individual, you know, because I know personally my story is not going to connect with everybody, but it might connect with somebody, and that's what I'm hoping for here. So again, if you guys are struggling with something and you want to reach out and talk to somebody, talk to your friends, talk to your parents, talk to somebody you feel safe talking to, that you don't feel like you're gonna have to, you know, defend yourself, because there's nothing worse than becoming vulnerable with somebody and then you feel like you have to defend yourself because you're opening up about being a certain way that you don't think is society's norm. And then you have to go and defend yourself on top of it. It doesn't work, you know, at least in my opinion, that won't work. It just kind of dissipates, and it makes me personally feel worse. Make your voice heard. Don't suffer through this alone. But guys, that is all I have for you tonight. If you watched this entire thing, thank you so much. I know that it's a little bit longer video, but it's an important topic, and I really appreciate you sticking through this entirely. Give this a video a thumbs up if it reached you on some level. If you feel for me at all, you know, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be having some great content coming in the next couple of weeks, and you don't want to miss it. As always, I am TheeMomarazzi.